If my veteran instincts are right, this glaring plot hole might actually be the brilliant setup for the most devastating, long-term storytelling we have seen in years, revolving entirely around the sudden arrival of Hudson and the mysteriously blank slate that is Jacinda. If you ask me, there is absolutely no such thing as a coincidence in this fictional town. Hudson and Jacinda are not just two random individuals who happen to wander into the same narrative orbit at the exact same time. I strongly suspect that they are actually biological siblings, and Jacinda seamlessly sliding into the role of Michael's loving girlfriend is nothing short of a meticulously crafted infiltration scheme orchestrated by Hudson himself. The most glaring red flag, one that any seasoned viewer can spot instantly, is the sheer emptiness of Jacinda's personal history. Until this very moment, the narrative has completely failed to explain where she came from or what true motivations drove her to latch onto Michael. When a new arrival's past is deliberately kept in the shadows, it is always a massive neon sign indicating a monumental twist. I am entirely convinced that Hudson is the puppet master who planted his sister in town to execute a flawlessly deceptive espionage mission. Consider the absolute brilliance of this strategy from a purely tactical standpoint. If Hudson is indeed the ruthless leader of a shadowy rival organization, sending his own sister to seduce Michael is the perfect, undetectable method to gather highly classified intelligence. Jacinda does not need to skulk around in the dark, pick locks, or crack complicated safes to steal sensitive documents. She simply has to be the warm, supportive partner that Michael trusts unconditionally. By merely sharing a morning coffee or listening to him vent about his stressful days, Jacinda gains unrestricted access to the most guarded secrets of his family's syndicate. Michael is essentially the golden key to the kingdom. He is the ultimate Trojan horse, completely oblivious to the fact that the woman sleeping beside him is mentally recording every single detail, every vulnerability, and every strategic move his family makes. But we must understand that Michael is merely the first door waiting to be unlocked. Through his blind affection, Jacinda is perfectly positioned to monitor the daily movements and private conversations of everyone in his immediate orbit. She can easily keep tabs on Sonny, observing his shifting alliances and moments of weakness without ever raising suspicion. She can even gather casual but critical intel from Carly and Dante during innocent family dinners. All of these seemingly trivial pieces of information are secretly funneled directly back to Hudson. Armed with this comprehensive inside knowledge, Hudson gains an unprecedented, terrifying advantage. Instead of launching a foolish, direct frontal assault that would surely fail, Hudson can patiently dismantle the Empire from the inside out, striking only when the family is at their absolute most vulnerable. It is a chillingly effective form of psychological warfare. This insidious strategy also makes it incredibly clear that Hudson's ultimate target extends far beyond just Sonny. Jason is undoubtedly squarely in the crosshairs of this massive conspiracy. As veteran fans, we know that Jason has always been the impenetrable shield protecting the family, the loyal enforcer who anticipates every threat before it materializes. Hudson is clearly smart enough to realize that to truly destroy the king, he must first neutralize the knight. By using Jacinda's gathered intelligence, Hudson can identify Jason's blind spots and orchestrate a trap that even the most seasoned enforcer cannot escape. Jacinda's proximity allows Hudson to track Jason's usually stealthy maneuvers, noting when he is out of town or distracted by personal matters. This level of surveillance turns Jason's protective nature into a vulnerability that Hudson is fully prepared to exploit. Furthermore, Nina could easily become an unwitting pawn in this grand chess match. Nina constantly finds herself standing at the chaotic intersection of various feuding factions, holding on to explosive secrets that could detonate at any moment. Hudson could easily leverage Jacinda's proximity to monitor Nina, turning the town's existing tensions into a weapon of mass destruction. Because Jacinda is viewed as Michael's harmless girlfriend, no one thinks twice about speaking freely in her presence. She is rapidly proving to be the most dangerous, deeply embedded sleeper agent this town has ever witnessed. She blends into the background of their daily lives, absorbing every hushed whisper and every tense argument, compiling a comprehensive dossier on the very people who believe they are untouchable. However, the beauty of long-term storytelling is that no perfect plan ever remains hidden forever. There is always a wild card, and in this intricate scenario, that wild card is undeniably Ethan. We recently witnessed Ethan making a sudden, frantic departure from the town, supposedly fleeing merely to protect himself from his haunted past. But I do not buy that simplistic explanation for a single second. Ethan is far too cunning and resourceful to run away from a generic threat without a fight. My theory is that during his own sneaky investigations into the newly arrived Hudson, Ethan stumbled upon the ultimate undeniable proof of the biological blood tie between Hudson and Jacinda. Ethan discovered the sibling connection, and he realized that the entire town was being played for fools. Because he suddenly knew far too much, Ethan became a massive liability to Hudson's grand design. Ethan is not the type of man to take a secret of that magnitude to his grave, nor would he leave his loved ones completely defenseless against such a monumental threat. I firmly believe that before he slipped out of town, Ethan arranged a clandestine meeting with Lulu to drop this absolute bombshell of a revelation. Why Lulu? Because she is a legacy character with deep, unbreakable ties to everyone involved, yet she possesses the investigative instincts and the sheer nerve required to handle such explosive intelligence without immediately losing her composure. Ethan knew that Lulu would understand the gravity of the situation. By passing the baton to her, Ethan ensured that the truth about Hudson and Jacinda would survive his departure. Lulu is now burdened with the terrifying knowledge that her close friend Michael is being ruthlessly manipulated by a secret enemy. What makes this potential storyline so incredibly fascinating is how Lulu will choose to wield this dangerous information. A lesser character might immediately run to Michael, screaming the truth from the rooftops in a desperate bid to save him. But Lulu is much smarter than that. She understands the delicate, highly volatile nature of the situation. If she exposes Jacinda without concrete, irrefutable proof, Michael might completely reject her claims, driving a wedge between them. Even worse, if Hudson senses that his sister's cover is blown, he could instantly pull Jacinda out of the town, erasing all evidence of their connection and slipping back into the shadows to plot a different attack. Lulu knows that she must play the long game, matching Hudson's patience with her own calculated restraint as she quietly gathers undeniable evidence. Therefore, I envision Lulu embarking on a tense, secretive mission to quietly shadow Jacinda. We will likely see Lulu playing the role of the supportive friend, smiling at Jacinda during social gatherings, all while secretly analyzing every word and every seemingly innocent phone call Jacinda makes. The dramatic irony will be absolutely palpable. We, the audience, will sit on the edge of our seats, watching Lulu gather the necessary evidence to expose the espionage, while Michael continues to fall deeper into a carefully constructed web of lies. This kind of simmering, underlying tension is exactly what made the golden era of soap operas so incredibly addictive. It is the thrilling anticipation of the inevitable explosion that keeps us tuning in day after day, waiting for the facade to finally crumble. And oh, the sheer tragedy that awaits Michael when the truth finally comes to light. It breaks my heart just thinking about the emotional devastation he will endure. Michael has always been a character who loves with his whole heart, desperately seeking a stable, loving partnership amidst the constant chaos of his family's lifestyle. He truly believes that Jacinda is his safe haven, a woman completely removed from the violence and deception that has plagued his past relationships. To discover that the woman he loves is actually a literal spy, a weapon forged by her brother to destroy everything Michael holds dear, will be a blow of catastrophic proportions. The betrayal will cut so incredibly deep, shattering his ability to trust anyone ever again. It is a cruel twist of fate, but it is precisely the kind of rich, emotional angst that produces legendary television. We must also consider the terrifying possibility that Hudson has prepared multiple layers of contingency plans. What happens if Jacinda's cover is inevitably blown? I suspect Hudson has already factored that into his cold equations. He might be perfectly willing to sacrifice his own sister, leaving Jacinda to face the wrath of the family while he uses the ensuing chaos to launch his final strike. Or, what if Jacinda has actually begun to develop genuine feelings for Michael? If the sleeper agent has fallen in love with her target, her loyalties will become violently torn between her ruthless brother and the man she was sent to destroy. If the writers genuinely follow through and confirm this sibling theory, it will undoubtedly go down as one of the most phenomenal shocks of the entire year, proving that long-term storytelling is still very much alive. In conclusion, while it is incredibly easy to become frustrated with seemingly slow pacing, we must remember to look at the bigger picture. The sudden appearance of a blank slate character is rarely an accident. It is a canvas waiting to be painted with the darkest of secrets. I am absolutely captivated by the potential of this Hudson and Jacinda sibling revelation. It promises to deliver the kind of heart-stopping drama, profound emotional betrayal, and gripping suspense that made us all fall in love with this genre in the first place. No matter how much the landscape of the town changes, my steadfast passion for this show remains completely unshaken. I will be right here, eagerly waiting to see exactly how this magnificent, explosive tragedy finally unfolds.